Okay, welcome to today's Shiur. Today we're going to be doing Yoma Daf Pei, Yoma Daf 80. Again, I have my friend Shmuel over here. He's going to be joining me for the second live Shiur. First one was yesterday, made history. Went down his history. I got Shmuel on the thumbnail, his first thumbnail on YouTube.
That's right.
You should be blessed with many more thumbnails to come.
Amen, I think.
Ad Me'av Esrim.
Amen.
All right, today we're
I'm
going
so
to...
excited.
What?
I want to thank everybody.
Say it on camera.
I want to thank everybody for this award. Is this the Academy Award?
This is not an Academy Award, but it's something. It's on your way. It's on your way to superstardom. All right. The bottom of Ayin Tenem Bay is the last three words. Tanya, Rebbe Omer, Kol Shiur and Kulan B'Kazayis. All the shiurim in the Torah, when it mentions Achila, is Kazayis. Chutz Mitumas Ochlin. Shina Kasev Mashman V'Shina Chachamim B'Shiurin. The pasuk says different words by Tumas Ochlin. It says Kol Ochel Asher Yochel. The shiur that Ochlin transmit Tuma. It's actually machlokas in Rashi and Tozos whether the Ochlin are makabel Tuma or they transmit Tuma. It's a machlokas somewhere else. I'm telling you, Eli Stefanski didn't know this machlokas Rashi and Tozos.
What? About Ochlin?
Tumas Ochlin. He didn't know about that. Listen, I know about these things. I'm a Lamdan. I learned 20 years in yeshiva.
Yeah, that's true.
I did. I learned 20 years in yeshiva.
People, he's the real deal.
I'll tell you a quick story to show my sidkus. When I first went to Eretz Yisrael after graduating from Yeshiva University, when I was 21, my first time going to Eretz Yisrael, my parents told me that I should go and kiss the ground when I get to Eretz Yisrael. They said you should go on the floor and kiss the ground.
Wow.
So, I was very idealistic at that time, and I wanted to listen to them. But I also learned the Gemara in Ksuvos, and the Gemara in Ksuvos says that some of the Moraim used to kiss the trees, they used to kiss the dirt. It seemed like the trees was the most preferable way. So when I got off the plane, onto the tarmac, you didn't go straight into the airport at that time. I saw some trees. So all the people were gathered together after getting off the plane. I started walking over to the trees. Immediately I hear someone yell at me, "Get back here, where are you going?" So I couldn't go and kiss the trees. So instead I bent down, and to the delight of about 50 people staring at me, I went down and I kissed the ground. See, that's my sikkus. But that didn't end over there, because then I was going to Yeshiva's Mir. So I took the Sheirut. So instead of taking the Sheirut straight to the Mir, I said, listen, Rashi says al Torah that Yaakov Avinu, when he went to Lavan, he initially went all the way to Haran, but he forgot about the base of the Makom Mikdash, and therefore he had to go all the way back to the Makom Mikdash, and that's where he had the dream of Olim V'Yardim, Malachim Olim V'Yardim Bo, the Sulam Mutzavarza. Just a side note, Sulam Mutzavarza is a train track. You like that one? All right.
That's good.
You like that? Sulam Mutzavarza. It's not a ladder, it's a train track.
Ah.
Don't get off the train, all right? Anyway, Malachim get off the train. Human beings stay on the train. So I was going, so I decided I have to Mekayim this Rashi al Torah. So I went first, I let the Sheirut take me to the Kosel, Shara Ashbot, and I got off. But the problem was I had my luggage with me, and they wouldn't allow luggage into the Kotel, the plaza over there. So what was I going to do? So I saw some seminary girls. I asked them, can you watch my luggage for me? And I trusted them with my luggage, 2 huge luggage, all I had with me, all my worldly possessions. And I went to the Kosel, and I dived in there for 20 minutes and half an hour, and my suitcases were still there. I don't remember if seminary girls had left and my suitcases were still there, or they were still there anyway. And not only that, that's the second thing. But also, I was Mekayim in the midst of Kriya. When you go to the Kosel, you're supposed to tear your shirt. Now, when I was in YU, I wore colored shirts. So, when I went to the Mir, I told my mother I have to Mekayim mitzvahs the Minhag HaMakom. I have to wear white shirts. I got my first black hat. I got 4 white shirts. 4 white shirts was all I had. So, but I wanted to Mekayim mitzvah of Kriya, so I tore one of the shirts at the Kosel. So I only had 3 shirts left, 3 white shirts left. So I had to survive on 3 white shirts. So I ended up meeting someone, and we took a taxi together to the Mir. I showed up with my torn shirt, with all my luggage, but I had Mekayim Rashi and Mekayim my parents' wishes for me to kiss the ground. Fortunately, it wasn't Mekayim the Gemara and Ksulas, but kissing the tree.
That's beautiful.
Was that Sidkus or what? Am I a tzaddik?
Yes, yes.
I'm a tzaddikal?
Tzaddik.
All right. Anyway, it's a little glimpse into my life. There's a lot more, but time is short. All right. Tumas Ochlin, the shear is different. It's a kibetza. The Gemara says, "V'raya l'davar Yom Kippurim." Raya that when the Torah switches the language, you can change the shear from a kazayas from Yom Kippur. Ma'ishina akasav mashmo. When did we find by Yom Kippur the Torah changed the language? Mlo seuna. It says mlo seuna. It doesn't say don't eat. It says you should afflict yourself. Call someone who's not ma'ane themselves is chayav. So therefore it's affliction. So therefore the shear is a koseves and not a kazayas. Ma'ishina chachamim b'shiur koseves. That's why they changed the shear to koseves, not to a kazayas. Ma'raya l'davar Yom Kippurim. Why did they have to bring a raya from Yom Kippurim? Dima hasam havamina orcha dekro. If I just would have said tumas ochel is different because it changes the words. It says kola ochel asher yochal. That's just the way the pasuk talks. It says kola mashke asher yishta, kola ochel asher yochal. It's just the way the way the Torah talks. What's the extra word asher yochal? So the fact that the Torah switches by Yom Kippur, we see that when it switches even a little bit, you say it's a different shear. Tumas ochel kibetza minol. How do you know the shear of tumas ochel is a kibetza? Amar Rabbi Abba, Amar Loz, Amar Kra. Mikola ochel asher yochel. Ochel haba machmas ochel. And a food which comes from another food. Bezes are nagolas. You can eat a chicken, and you can also eat the eggs. It's a food that comes from another food. Ema gedi. Maybe it's talking about, let's say, kid goat. It's born from a mother goat. You could eat both. Mechusar shchita. So the Gemara says no, it's not immediately edible. You have to shech the gedi. Ema bein pakua. Maybe let's say when you shech an animal and you find that the fetus is still in the mother's stomach, you could eat it without a shchita. So the Gemara says no, ton kriya. You have to actually tear it open and take out the blood. So it's not ready immediately to eat. Ema beitzas bar yuchni. Say it's the egg, not a chicken, but a bigger bird.
What's bar yuchni? An ostrich.
Is that what they say it is?
Makes sense.
I think our school says bar yuchni. Ostrich. Okay, it could
ostrich. Be. Ostrich is a good idea, no? Because it's a big egg. Okay.
You're familiar with these eggs? Is it edible?
Edible?
You could eat an ostrich's egg?
I don't know. Is it kosher? I don't know.
Kol haba min ha-tor, kol haba min ha-tame. Is that Gemara somewhere? All right. So the Gemara says, tafasta meruba lo tafasta, tafasta mua tafasta. When we aim for a chiddush, we take the lesser chiddush, not the bigger chiddush. So the tarnagol is smaller, we go with the smaller share. Aim a biasa and support. Maybe say the egg of a really small bird, which is smaller than a chicken. The zuter tuva, which is smaller. Rabbi Abba didei amar. So in order to answer this question, Rabbi Abba himself had to give a different answer, a different drasha from the pasuk. Amar mikol ochel shayochel ochel sheta ochel b'basachas. A food which you can fit in literally in your esophagus in one time. The amount that you could fit, the most you can fit in your esophagus at one time is an egg. So therefore, is an egg. If he eats chaylev nowadays, the shear of chaylev is like zayas, like all their ochlin. You have to write the shear. You have to write exactly how much it was. The way we measure it is a beitzas aguri, a medium-sized egg. If you go to the makolet, you go to the supermarket, they have small eggs, they have medium eggs, they have large eggs. So we go by the medium eggs. But you should write it down that you ate a medium egg size of chaylev. Why? Maybe later on, when the basin is built, a new basin is going to come, and they're going to increase the shear. So the Gemara says, "My yarbe b'shir." You name the mechayvi korban kazayis katan, that they'll make the shear for a small egg kazayis katan, a small kazayis. Make the share of a kazayah smaller. Vatanya asher lo ta'asena b'shkago v'ashem hashav midioso maybe korban al shkagoso lo shav midioso maybe korban al shkagoso. It has to be asher lo ta'asena b'shkago v'ashem. That if you would know about it, you would. It's always shogeg we're talking about. You're eating chaylev. If you would know about it that you're eating chaylev, you would have stopped. But here at the time when you ate it, the shear was not a shear; it was a smaller shear than the shear you're chayiv. Later on, they're going to mechayiv you, but you want to refrain from eating it now, midoraisa. So you want to refrain from eating it because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So you can't bring a korban. So there's no chayiv korban anyway. Oh, the lo mechayiv korban dika kizayis gadol. What does it mean? Yarbe b'shiurin, that they make the shear bigger, a bigger kizayis. So therefore, write it down because you might be potter. And if you bring the korban on what the shear that you ate now, then you bring chul nazar. Rashi says, "Well, my desaka daiti mikar the mechayiv korban kizayis katan." The havamina was your chayiv on a smaller shear. My yarbe b'shiurin. How do you explain the word yarbe b'shiurin? It should be Yoma b'shiur. Nichema yarbe b'karbanos ma'am b'shiur. It means that they'll increase the amount of karbanos because they'll decrease the shear. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, shiurin v'on shalach al Moshe Sinai. Rabbi Yochanan, this is the way the Maromi Sada, this is brought down by Art Scroll, tells you the depth of the lamdas by Art Scroll. The people who wrote Art Scroll were real amdanim. They looked at the Maromi Sada. Who writes the Maromi Sada? I'm not exactly sure. And Tziv wrote the Maromi Sada. Okay, then Tziv wrote the Maromi Sada. Our scroll has that. They don't quote the whole machlokas. They say it's a machlokas in Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Yochanan shiur v'onshin halach al Moshe Sinai. He says shiur and onshin are halach al Moshe Sinai. Onshin michtav ksivi. The Gemara says onshin halach al Moshe Sinai. It says in the Torah what the onish is you get for doing certain things. Ela hachi kamar shiurin shal onshin halach al Moshe Sinai. The shear that's going to mechayiv you for an onish is halach al Moshe Sinai. So Rabbi Yochanan is arguing with Rabbi Lazar because he says you can't change halach al Moshe Sinai. Tanina mihachi shiurin shal onshin halach al Moshe Sinai. Cherim omrim based on shiyavetz tiknum. So this acherim probably we would say would be like Rabbi Lazar, that it actually was a takana that they made the shiurim. The aksiv ela mitzvah shein navi rasha lechadish over ma'ata. Navi can't make new mitzvahs; they can't change the Torah. Ella Yavitz is Asniel ben Knaz, who was the first shofet. Ella Shachum mechazru v'yistum. Rather, the pshat is that they forgot the shear and they remembered it and reinstituted the shear. According to that, we can understand Rabbi Lazar that maybe we forgot the real shear now. What we're going by is the wrong shear, and they would be Shachum v'chazru v'yistum. That's my explanation of machlokas. Say the machlokas tanoim is the machlokas Amarayim. Shows the Mali Lugmav. Amarav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Lo Mali Lugmav Mamish. It says in the Mishnah, in Rabbi Chai for drinking on Yom Kippur, you have to drink a cheekful. So what is a cheekful? Lo Mali Lugmav Mamish Al Kol Shili Yisal Kenel Sad Echad V'Yira Kamali Lugmav. It's not two cheeks full. It's one cheek full. V'Hanan not Mali Lugmav. It says Mali Lugmav. You're both cheeks full. Ema Kim Mali Lugmav. Like Mali Lugmav. Meisive Kama Yishte. How much do you drink on Yom Kippur? You be chayiv. Eshamay Amrim Ravias. He says Ravias halog. Still Amrim Mali Lugmav. He says it goes by your cheeks full. Rabbi Yehuda Omer B'Shumar Hazar Kim Mali Lugmav. Like a Mali Lugmav. Rabbi Yehuda Ben Meseir Omer Kidei Gemia. The amount of liquid that would fill up your esophagus. Mia Difa Mas Nisan. Del Kimna Kidei Shis. The question is as follows. Here it says Beis Hillel says Mali Lugmav. It doesn't say Kim Mali Lugmav. It would really change it, and we'd say doesn't mean literally mali lugmav two cheeks full. It means like it should look like your cheeks full. That one cheek should be full. If that's true, that's one cheek full. That's what Rabbi Lezer says. He says kim mali lugmav. Mali lugmav dachok. The machlok is between Rabbi Lezer and Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel says it has to be a bulging cheek full, one cheek full. Rabbi Lezer says even a moderate cheekful would be good enough to mechayiv you on Yom Kippur. Maskil Rav Oshayim can.
Now we paskin.
We paskin Mali, which Bas make Beis Hillel the Chora. So therefore it has to be a bulging cheekful.
Okay.
Maskil Rav Oshayim can havulei mikuli beishamay mechumrei Beis Hillel. If this is true that Beis Shammai says a Ravias is more than a Mali Lugmav. And Beis Hillel says Mali Lugmav, and it's not a double cheekful, it's one cheekful. So therefore Beis Shammai is Mekel, they say the bigger share, and Beis Hillel is Mechayim in a smaller share. And why don't we, Rashi says, why don't we list this in Adios with all the times that Beis Shammai is more Mekel than Beis Hillel? It doesn't usually happen. The question, when it was posed in this Mishnah, it was posed when they were asking about Og Melech HaBashan. Og Melech HaBashan was a very big person. How big was he? I'm not sure exactly.
He was very big.
He was like 9 amos tall.
He was like Jack and the Beanstalk big.
Who's the tallest guy that ever lived? What's that guy? Woodrow? What's his name?
Woodrow, yeah, Woodrow. Don Woodrow. He was like 8'11" or something.
8'11" or not 7? He was 8'11".
I don't know exactly, but he was very tall. He had some sort of.
He invented basketball, right?
It's a sad life these days.
He died at like 22, right?
Yeah, he had a very. It wasn't a normal.
But he
life.
did play in the NBA, so
What are you talking about?
he had a triple double one game.
I think he was. He died. He died in the 40s.
He had 100 rebounds in one game. Will Chamberlain 100 points. He had 100 rebounds.
There
All
was
right.
there was a tall guy playing basketball recently. Some sort of.
Of course, though. He's been tall
No,
guys.
there's a guy who's from
Oh,
Yugoslavia or something. Is like
Yao Ming. Yao Ming was
Maybe
a 7'7".
Oh yeah,
I think so. He was a good player. He was a decent player.
you're joking.
It was Sean Bradley. Sean Bradley was like 7'6". These people get injured too quickly. They're fragile. There's a guy on the Celtics now, Taco Fall. I think he's like 7'5". There was almost this guy. There's an Israeli player in the NBA. If anyone's following this guy, Danny Avia. He's from Israeli. He was picked 9th, I think, by the Wizards
Really?
this past year.
Really?
He started off starting for the team, but I guess he made it to the bench. I don't know. They're predicting he would be the next Luka Doncic.
Really?
You know
The
who
next
Luka Doncic is.
I don't know who he is.
You gotta learn. Derek Eretz Kadma Torah. All right.
Learning.
Anyway, he tried to dunk on Taco Fall over and posterize him. He just missed. So that was his highlight of his year, just missing that. All right. So the Gemara says, "Ki itchel b'og melech habash and itchel d'havali Beit Shammai l'chumra," because Beit Shammai is going to be l'chumra because there Beit Shammai says Ravius is going to be more smaller shear than Beit Hillel is going to be mali lugma of og melech habash, and even one sheikful is bigger than Ravius. Maskav Rav Zera Maishna achila d'chol echad v'chad b'koseves. Why is it that by Achila, the share of everyone, whether you're Og Melech HaBashan or a regular person or a midget, your share is a koseves, and Shtia, the share goes basically like Basil says, a cheekful, whatever your cheek is, it differentiates between people. Amalei Abayi Kim L'Rabana B'Koseves to B'Haki Mitzvah Daite, Batzer Mahaki Lo Mitzvah. You have Yeshiva Das, with less than that, no matter who you are, you don't have. Shtia bedide misvadaite b'dechavri lo misvadaite. Shtia, it depends on your cheekful. You're only Yeshiva Das with a cheekful of your own. Moscow Rav Zeira v'cholam kulo b'kosevet og melech habashan b'kosevet. That's going to be that og melech habashan is chayav reading a kosevet. He's a very big person. He's going to have Yeshiva Das from kosevet. So I'm like, kim l'rabbanan d'bahaki misvadaite. It's true, even for og melech habashan. It's going to be Miyashiv his das. Less than that, it's not going to be Miyashiv das. Miyu kuli alma tuva v'og melech habasham porte. All melech habasham Miyashiv his das, only a little bit, but that's good enough to mechayiv you. Maskiv Rabbi Zeira, basar shamin b'kosev, and sulik fanim b'kosev. How could it be that fatty meat, which obviously gives you more Yeshiva das than eating the things you use to make a lulav? I don't know if that's edible. Apparently it is edible if it's like moist or whatever. Imagine that after you do Hoshana Rabbah, instead of throwing it on top of the Aron, you start taking it and eating it. Don't do it. Don't try it at home. The stuff is pointy. So the Gemara says, how could it be that no matter what you eat, even a koseves would be yashir das? I'm like, yeah, the bahakim is v'daiti, batzar mahakim is v'daiti. Me batzar shamin too. It's miyashir das a lot. Lulavig fun import a little bit. Maskler Rava Kizayis b'dei achilas pras, because that was b'dei achilas pras. We know the shear of eating Kizayis. The Gemara learns from a mitzora, from the shear that you have to stay in the house of a mitzora, a house that has a ras, in order for your begadim to come tummy that you're wearing. Is a kedei achilas pras. Is the amount of time it takes you to pras. A pras is half of a loaf of bread, which is 4 beitzim. I don't know how big the loaf was. I don't know if you have to measure the loaves they sell in the makola now at supermarkets nowadays. It's the share of 8 kibbetzos. But anyway, half a pras is 4 beitzos, half a loaf of bread. This is the share for every tlumen. For all those who like tidbits on the Talmud. Tidbits on the Talmud.
Like Torah tidbits.
Torah tidbits. There you go. Torah tidbits. So the shear is for eating gazayis, you have to eat it within the shear from the beginning to end, g'dei achilas pras. Because says the achilas pras, and alternatively, we don't have a reason to assume now, because Sev is also on Yom Kippur, which is a much larger shear, not much larger, but a bigger shear than a gazayis would be. G'dei achilas pras would have to be in g'dei achilas pras also. It's not mistaber that You should be chayav in more time. It's a big kula. Amalei Abai Kim L'Rabbanan the Bahaki Mitzvah Daiti B'Tzvei Mehaki La Mitzvah Daiti. If you wait longer than the Achilas Pras, it's not miyashiv your das, even Michael Seves. Maskila Rava Kizayis B'Dei Achilas Pras Chatzi Pras B'Dei Achilas Pras. Now we know that also a Chatzi Pras, which is 1/4 of a loaf of bread, which is 2 beitzim, which is a shear to apostle your body if you eat tamei foods. Apostles your body if you're eating truma. That's 2 beitzim. That's a lot bigger than gazayas, and we know that's also k'dei achilas pras. Why should that also be k'dei achilas pras? A big kula. Amalei Rav Papa hanach l'tumas gvia delav de'oraisa. Tumas gvia is nirabanan, so therefore they are more makel. Mi amar Rav Papa hachi. You always say this. Hachsiv lo tatamu b'heminid meisam bam. Amar Rav Papa mikanch tumas gvia de'oraisa. This pasuk alludes to the fact that tumas gvia is de'oraisa and meisam bam. The Gemara says midarabanan akras machtabam. It's interesting. The Gemara says Rav Papa says de'oraisa, and the Gemara says really he meant to say midarabanan akras machtabam. Why do you call it de'oraisa? Not really sure. You have a pshat.
What was it?
Rav Papa says mikanch tumas gvia de'oraisa. That's from the Torah. The Gemara answers midarabanan akras machtabam. He didn't really mean it's de'oraisa. He meant to say it's derabanan. The Torah supports this. All right, let's go on. Kol ha'ochlin. All the ochlin, the Mishnah says all the ochlin are mitzdarif to form a kazayas, but not mashkin. You can't combine drinks and food. Amar Rav Papa achal umso milcha mitzdarif. Eat a piece of fatty meat and milcha and with the salt on it. If you put a lot of salt on it, don't try it at home. Don't put a lot of salt on your meat. It doesn't taste good. The best way to eat a steak is to eat it neat. Neat is a word for liquor. You drink it neat. You drink it without anything else, but without any ice or something like that. But
Meat?
no, liquor. It's called to drink it neat is when you drink it without any ice. You drink it, I suppose, on the rocks, for example. So meat is also a good steak. You don't eat with salt. Salt ruins the meat. Everyone knows that. A good steak you eat medium rare or rare if you're very bold, and you don't eat it with a lot of salt. I always go to this restaurant Entrecôte over here in Yerushalayim. It's one of my favorite restaurants, but there's not too many restaurants, steakhouses that have a hechsher that my wife and I eat. So we go there a lot. For some reason, when you buy the steak, they put a lot of this big sea salt on the plate. A lot of times I ask them, get me a new plate. I don't want the sea salt. It ruins the steak. Also lamb chops when I order it. It ruins the lamb chops. Good meat needs nothing. Needs no seasonings, no salts. It's tasty in and of itself.
No ketchup?
Of course, no ketchup. Ketchup we eat with maybe fries, maybe schnitzel. I don't know. All right. So if you decide to eat umsa, maybe umsa is not a really steak.
What is umsa?
It's really a piece of meat which is raw. It seems like, which means it's really like medium rare. Milka, mitzdarif. The afagav de lavachilahi. So I'm going to say a chiddush based on what I just told you about my derech eretz. What's the chiddush of the Gemara over here? Milcha melech is really a food. It could be eaten. So the chiddush of the Gemara, even though it's not good, it's lav uchlahu. It's not the way of eating it. Doesn't taste good, so it really shouldn't be an achila. So therefore, you would think it's not mitzvah if the salt it makes it worse, doesn't make it better. Most people don't eat food properly. They eat it in the wrong way. They put seasonings, they put salt. Therefore, it's mitzvah because you go basar rov. That's my chiddush. Amar Shlakish, Shiur shagab yerek mitzvah. Let's see.
Yom Kippur? What are we talking about?
On Yom Kippur, the Shiur of Kosevas. Amar Shlakish, Shiur shagab yerek mitzvah. The brine on top of vegetables also is mitzvah. The Shiur, the Kosevas, B'Yom Kippurim, pshita. This is, of course. Now, the same mashkahu, you might think that the brine that you use to season in it is a liquid, is a mashka, and mashka is not mitzaref to ochla. Kamashman kol shrei ochla ochlo. Anything which makes the food better is considered actually part of the food. Amrei shtakish ochla achila gas of Yom Kippurim potter. You eat achila gas on Yom Kippur, you're potter. My time. It says asher lo seuna. Problematic. You eat achilas gasa. Rashi explains that you already ate before Yom Kippur a lot of food, and you're really disgusted to eat any more food. So you eat after Yom Kippur starts. You eat food and it makes you feel disgusting. You're being mazik yourself. You're hurting yourself. You're not. You're afflicting yourself. The Torah says you can't eat something to avoid affliction. You're being mazik yourself. You're afflicting yourself. You're not chayav for that. achila gas and mishalim misakerim mishalim misachomesh. Let's say you're a Zar Yisrael that ate truma. You're not allowed to eat truma. If you ate a b'shogeg and you eat achila gasa when you're very full, so you pay Karen because that's his money. It's the Kohen's money. But you don't pay chomish. Chomish, the penalty, it says ki yochel for the chomish. Prat lamazik, you're ruining the truma. You're not eating it you're not using it in a way. Rashi says prat lamazik as a truma. I would say prat lamazik as a adam. Rashi says it's a truma. It's interesting. Let's say you chew raw barley of truma. So again, you pay Karen because it's money of the Kohen, but you don't pay chomish. Kiyochel prat lamazik. Here, being mazik yourself or the food. Amar of Shizbi, Amar of Yochanan, Zar Shabola Shizvin Shal Truma. Let's say you swallowed Shizvin. Now, Shizvin, the article translates as plums. I would have said Shizifin is prunes here in Israel. That's what Rashi says, prunes. Prunes balaz. I don't know why article didn't say like that. Like Rashi. I don't understand many laws Rashis, but prunes.
Rashi, yeah, well, probably could be because they know it could be in French. Prunes is plums. I don't know. I'm saying
Listen, I majored in French for 10 years, and I know like one of those people that went to school. I majored in French so I could understand Rashi better. I enrolled in college. The really from Lamdanim, they go to college. They don't go to Sterling College. They go to the best college. They go to Harvard so they can learn French.
Marashal says, look at this. There's a goy sionim on this side. Marashal says in Flyman, the Lashon Ashkenaz, Flyman.
Okay, Marshal against Rashi.
No, Rashi said no. Marshal says that in German it's a plum. Plum.
I'm going to go with prunes because I believe in Israel it's just shazifin. Shazifin is prune. I buy prune juice for my son because he gets constipated from the Materna. That's the formula that we give him. So I buy prune juice. It's expensive, 25 shekel a liter.
Good stuff.
All right.
American prune juice.
No, I actually get the Israeli one. It was more expensive than the Yula. Yula is the American brand. It's also a school in Los Angeles. Monroe there. All right. LA. They have good basketball teams. They always win the Sarah check. All right. Amar Yochanan Zarsha Bala Shizvin Shal Truma Vekian. He swallowed these prunes or plums, and it's interesting. The article disgorged them. You could just say he threw them up. He vomited them. And someone else, someone else ate them. Rishon Mishalim is Karen V'Chomish. The Rishon pays Karen V'Chomish. He ate it. Sheni Mishalim Ad similar Rishon Bilvad. The second person only pays the amount that it would cost for wood. Once you eat something and you regurgitate it, you spit it out, you vomit it. It's not considered food anymore. So therefore, it only has value to burn something with it. So therefore, you only stole from the first person who was konet. There's a chila. You only stole from the value of eitzim, and that's how much you pay him back. That will conclude our shiur for today. Hope you all enjoyed. How did this shiur compare with yesterday's shiur? Was it better or worse?
It's just getting better.
It's getting better every day.
Every day.
Now, if you're starting out and you have between me and Eli Stefanski, who do you go with? Who's funnier? Who has more humor in their shiur?
Who looks funnier at least?
Who looks better? I look better, right?
Yeah, but I look funny.
Yeah, I look funny.
Listen, who do you have two guys sitting there learning and telling?
Listen, it's like a chavrusa over here,
That's right.
You started with a chavrusa.
That's right.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Sacharabba. Bye.
Bye.